How do you show the practical benefits of good driving habits? In this video, we've used an Arctic with a fully laden semi-trailer and two drivers with different driving styles. We've asked them to run over the same route to demonstrate how the way you drive will make a difference to the performance and economy of the truck. Let's start with the route, 558 kilometers. We'll be going from Gothenburg to Stockholm via a terminal in Eksjö. This involves 200 kilometers of motorway and 150 kilometers of A road. There's also 180 kilometers of B road driving and about 25 kilometers of city roads. The two drivers are Sven, determined to drive economically, and Leif, who's a little more hurried. Good driving habits aren't merely a matter of making perfectly timed gear changes. They're an attitude, looking for an overall approach to bringing down fuel consumption, as well as reducing wear and tear and stress. The vehicle both drivers will use is an R113 tractive unit with a 380 horsepower engine. The gearbox, the GRS 900, has 12 road gears and the final drive ratio is 3.5 to 1. To this is coupled a 3-axle soft-top semi-trailer, bringing gross vehicle weight to 40 tons. How do you spend your time while the brake pressure builds up? Like Sven, whom we just saw, or like this? In a moment you'll see that the vehicle in this case is fitted with an additional instrument panel where we can monitor driving on the way. There are displays for engine revs, road speed, gear, and fuel consumption. Leif heading out of Gothenburg. No, not in the Porsche. The shift sequence is normally 2-4-6 in low range, while the splitter is used in every gear in high range. Fuel consumption is displayed in liters per 100 kilometers beneath the gear display. Do you see how Leif tends to over-rev the engine, changing gears between 1600 and 2200 revs? This evidently gives somewhat better acceleration, but at considerable cost in fuel consumed. Let's have a look at our other driver, Sven. Well, you can see right away his driving style is much more relaxed. He doesn't over-rev and keeps within the green band of the rev counter, changing gears between 1300 and 1800 revs per minute. This helps to keep fuel consumption down to a far more attractive level. Leif used somewhat over a litre more diesel to get out of Gothenburg. And all he gained was a couple of seconds over Sven. Sven and Leif roll east along Road 40 for a new stage. You can see that Leif is running at 90 kilometers an hour with the rev counter needle near the top of the green band. And look at his fuel consumption. Sven is doing 80 kilometers an hour at exactly 1400 revs. You can see how much better use is made of the fuel. Consumption is noticeably lower. Leif is using 5 liters more at a road speed of 90 kilometers an hour. Of course he saves time, but at what cost? Was it really worthwhile? And the fuel account isn't the only place where high speeds may be expensive. Before letting our drivers loose, let's have a look at a couple of diagrams. This is a traditional torque curve. Torque rises to a peak as the revs drop to around 1200. This is where you should change gears. The curve of the new generation engines is flatter, which in practice boosts torque output throughout the operating range. Maximum torque for the new engines is available as high up as 1500 revs and is then constant down to around 1200. Here, 1200 revs is where you should aim to make the change. Leif has just started to feel the effect of the hill. Leif is driving the traditional way. His ears and his previous experience tell him that tractor power begins to tail off as high up as 1500 revs per minute. With the flat shape of the new torque curve, he's wasting the whole remainder of the high torque band between 1500 and 1200 revs. Sven knows that the engine keeps pulling well below 1500 revs, all the way down to 1200 revs in fact. Only then is it time to change gears. Up one of the many hills on this stretch of the route, Leif consumed almost half a litre more fuel with a time gain of only 15 seconds. There's an old rule saying you should use the same gear going down a hill as you do coming up. The engine and exhaust brake then work to best effect, and when speed tends to become excessive, the service brake needs to be applied firmly every now and then to minimize wear. The exhaust brake is most powerful around 2000 revs, but fuel consumption is still at a minimum. Driving down a hill in a gear that's too high means that the service brakes have to be used almost constantly. The friction will generate a lot of heat, which brings the risk of hot spots or cracks forming in the drums and linings. Rolling down Road 33 towards the terminal to make the drop. There's always an extra risk in passing through built-up areas. High speed may save time, but just as often it tends to cause many more brake applications and repeated bouts of acceleration. This kind of driving naturally has its price in fuel consumption. The overall difference in fuel consumed through the small town is 0.2 litres. How many towns and villages do you pass through on the journeys you make in your truck? We're leaving Exshaw and heading north along 134. Looks like a quiet run to Stockholm. Leif is saving time by pressing on at higher speed, or is he? In this terrain, the momentum of a fully laden vehicle may at the same time be a benefit and a drawback. We're approaching a descent at 80 kilometers an hour. Momentum will cause the speed to increase. Keeping a reasonable speed at the top of the hill means that the speed at the bottom will be sufficient to climb quite some way up the other side before the engine is required to regain cruising speed. But starting the descent at high speed may result in excessive speed at the bottom, which is potentially dangerous. The service brake probably has to be used to keep speed within safe bounds. The point on the other side where power has to take over to maintain speed is only marginally later in this case. A good motorway takes us to our final destination, Stockholm. Making progress in city traffic with all its red lights and congestion will always benefit from smooth and even driving. Leif arrived about 30 minutes before Sven, but what was the price? Well, he got a speeding ticket, caused unnecessary wear and tear in the truck, and himself went through considerable stress. Here are the figures. After 558 kilometers, the difference in average speed was 5.16 kilometers in favor of Leif, although he did have to change gears 95 times more than Sven. Looking at fuel consumption, we find that Sven's driving saved 26 liters compared to Leif. Leif's average consumption was 4.9 liters more per 100 kilometers. The results shown in this video are all related to a specific Scania model, but the implications hold true for all Scania trucks. The combination of driving a Scania and driving sensibly is very likely to produce excellent results.